Hello and welcome back to another Breaker video, where today I am rescuing these Kerbals from the mun. But you can see there is no intact lander on the surface. All I've got is bits scattered across the surface. So I intend to take some of these parts and try and put them back together to make something that could take off from the mun and rescue these Kerbals. So I just rolled this tank down the hill. And I'm going to place it on the end of that capsule to try and weigh it down so that it brings the bottom of it up, so I can place it without it clipping into the ground and exploding. Then I get this reaction wheel here. I tried putting it in the Kerbals inventory, but there's no room for that, so I had to push the reaction wheel, which took a very long time. So this footage is sped up. And these Kerbals were left abandoned on the mun for over 600 in-game years, because I kind of forgot about them. But they're still alive, that doesn't matter. So once I arrive with this reaction wheel, I will attach it to the fuel tank there. You can see the wreckage of the rest of the lander to the side there. Then I go and get the engine, which was a real pain because it could not fit in her inventory. She could barely push the engine along. But it worked until she got onto a steeper part of the slope, and then she kept climbing over the engine, as you can see here. So I had a lot of trouble pushing it. So in the end I just picked it up and placed it down, and picked it up and placed it down until I arrived to the return vehicle. So here I am about to attach it to the lander. I call it a lander, it's not really a lander. It's bits from a lander that have been put together again. Right, now I'll get the Kerbal on board. Well, first I'll see if there's anything else I need, which no, there isn't. I want the most Delta V. Then I'll get the Kerbal on board and I'll stand it up with the torque from the reaction wheel. Then I'll quick save, and then I'll fly the other Kerbal up in. And I'll extend the one solar panel, and I'll take off. Here we go. So here we are flying into space. And placing a maneuver node, and as you can see, this craft barely has enough Delta V, since it's made of parts from a broken up lander, so it barely has any fuel. What I did before recording the video is I pumped all the fuel into that tank, and then I took the lander apart. And as you can see, I don't have enough Delta V to return to Kerbin. I've got enough Delta V to escape from the mun, but I don't have enough Delta V to actually get into the atmosphere to slow down. So I tried many different ways. I tried doing a gravity assist there. I tried burning retrograde at the apoapsis, but that didn't work either. In the end I did that, I went away from Kerbin, and I managed to get a mun gravity assist which could bring me into the atmosphere, and I could then descend into the atmosphere and land. Now this is very minimalistic, this craft. It's got one solar panel because I wanted to make it as light as possible. It's only got one drogue chute, so the Kerbals, once it's descending towards Kerbin, the Kerbals will have to jump out and use their own parachutes. And as you can see, I will have a few issues doing this burn at apoapsis, because I do it at such a low throttle so precisely. I end up looking at Kerbin's periapsis instead of the Mun's periapsis, and I assumed the burn was finished when I saw that my periapsis was in the atmosphere. And then I looked and noticed that I was going to crash into the Mun. So after a bit of wondering what I could do, I eventually realised that I had enough fuel to burn out from the Mun, and that sent me on a crashing course to Kerbin. So I tried placing manoeuvres in various places to see if I could raise the Kerbin periapsis, but it doesn't have enough fuel as it's only got 14 meters per second left. So in the end I just did a burn at apoapsis, and then I realised as I did that I didn't complete the burn that I initially set up. So here I am time warping towards the Mun, about to do a Mun gravity assist. Here we are doing a gravity assist. And now we've escaped from the Mun, and now we're going to descend down to Kerbin. At this point I was very surprised that I had managed to do this. So I retracted the solar panel, and from this height, from the Mun's height, this re-entry can only just be done as the capsule is overheating, and you can see that temperature grade get really close to the maximum, but it only just survived re-entry. And there's the one drogue chute. And then I get the Kerbals to jump out and use their own parachutes to glide down to the land there, as the craft would explode once it hit the water because of how fast it was descending. So I go and spiral down with Mila Kerman to do some formation flying with the other Kerbal. So there they are, formation flying. Surprised I didn't take any screenshots of that. And then eventually, once I reach the coast, I then dive down. I dive Mila Kerman down, and then land her. Like, how would you pronounce that? M-I-L-A? Like, the name Mila is normally spelled M-I-L-L-A. So I think it would be pronounced like Mila. I'm going to call her Mila from now on. So here I am landing Callow Kerman next to Mila Kerman. And there they are. Now I thought it would be a bit anticlimactic if I just recovered them on the spot here. So I decided after planting this flag that I will use a plane to recover them. plane, there's Valentina Kerbin. And here we are about to taxi out this hangar. And we're just going to speed up the taxiing because it does take a bit of a while to taxi to the runway. Nearly crashing into that taxiway light. There I am setting the flag that they planted as target. And here I stop just short of the runway to do a control check, and then I continue on to the runway. And I am now going to take off. I've stopped the speeding up the recording, now I'm taking off. I'll do the same for each takeoff and landing I do. So just gently throttling up now. Engines are now running at full power. Time warp again, I guess. So I'm just going to hand fly this first right and just fly towards the flag marker. I'll fly up to about 3 kilometers and I'll just keep flying this way. Now I'm descending. So I'm getting quite close to them now, about 20 kilometers away from the Kerbals. Now, the thing is with Valentina Kerbin when she was flying, so I like to fly in cockpit view. Because she's a girl, she's a bit shorter, so that means that you don't get as good of a cockpit view. And so whenever you're landing, you can barely see the ground you're landing on. So, here we come. I'm pitching up because I think I can see a hill, but actually I can't. I can't see the ground very well. And then I realised, actually, I'm really close to them. I better throttle down and land. So I land, and I slam on the brakes as I go straight past them, and then I turn around. there they are. So just reset the trim here. And then I get Valentina out of the plane so that the other two Kerbals can board. So, Callow Kerbin. So this jet I've got here is called the Small Trainer jet. It's got 2 Juno engines, and it actually is based on a design I made back in 2019 called the Small Trainer. This is the Small Trainer 2.0, which is a modification on it, because back then I flew with a keyboard, so I flew the original Small Trainer. And once I started flying with a joystick, I found the original Small Trainer a bit too maneuverable, a bit too squirrely to fly. So I decided to make a second variant of it, which removed the canards at the front, put the engines on actual pylons, and changed out some of the control surfaces, as well as replacing the vertical stabilizers with just a single one. So I'm running the engines at full power, doing static takeoff, waiting to be fully spooled up before releasing the brake. I guess I'll go now until I'm about to land. back as we are about to land. As you can see, Island Airfield is on the left there, you can see the mountain there, and Kerbal Space Centre is just in front of us. You can see the mountains west of the KSP. So now I'm back to hand flying again. Descending down towards the Space Centre. See the runway just over there, just straightening out the plane a bit, gear down, and now on the short final. 300, 200, 'back to regular speed again. 50, 40, 30, 20, 10, and touchdown, there we go. And the brakes are really powerful on this, so I leave the brakes off for a bit just to go down the runway a bit faster. But anyway, we've arrived, so I will be ending the video here. Remember, if you didn't enjoy the video, to dislike and unsubscribe, and I guess you'll be hearing my horrible voice again when I next do a voiceover.